My name is Rebecca Miller, and for the last several years, I have been living in a small, quiet suburban town in Ohio with my teenage son, Daniel. Life as a single mother has been nothing short of a challenge, sometimes exhausting, sometimes heartbreaking, yet also full of moments that have taught me more about love and resilience than I ever imagined. 5 years ago, everything changed. My husband, Mark, the love of my life and Daniel's father, was taken from us in a sudden and devastating car accident. One moment, we were a family of 3 with dreams, routines, and laughter echoing through our home. And the next, it felt like the very foundation beneath us crumbled. Daniel was only 12 at the time, far too young to lose the guiding hand of his father. I, too, was unprepared. Overnight, I had to become both mother and father, comforter and protector, while also desperately trying to keep myself from falling apart in front of him. People often assume that the toughest part of being a single mom is financial stress. The bills, or the endless responsibilities that never seem to stop piling up. But for me, none of that compared to the silence. It was the quiet hours, especially at night, that felt the heaviest. The house seemed too large, the rooms too empty, and the silence almost unbearable. Sometimes the quiet grew so loud it was suffocating, echoing back the loss we both tried so hard to manage. Daniel never said it out loud, but I could see the ache in his eyes. He missed his father more deeply than words could ever capture. Mark wasn't just his dad. He was his best friend, his coach at football games, his partner in late-night talks, and his teammate in those little garage projects they loved so much. Losing that bond left a hole in Daniel's heart, one I could never fully replace, no matter how much I tried. Then one night, just a few months ago, everything shifted for us. It was close to midnight, and the house was as still as it usually was at that hour. I had just been drifting off to sleep when I heard the softest knock at my bedroom door. At first, I thought I was imagining it, but then came a quiet voice, trembling slightly. "Mom, are you awake?" Immediately, I sat up in bed, my heart racing. Something in his tone worried me. I got out of bed, opened the door, and there stood Daniel. He was in his pajamas, looking far smaller and more vulnerable than his 17 years would normally suggest. His eyes were glassy, and in his hand, he clutched an old photograph of his father. Can I sleep in here tonight?" he asked, his voice soft but heavy with meaning. It was such a simple request, yet it carried a weight that pierced right through me. For a moment, I was transported back to those years when he was just a little boy, crawling into bed between Mark and me after having a nightmare. He hadn't asked for that comfort in years, but here he was, standing before me, broken in ways he couldn't even articulate. And in that moment, there was no hesitation in me. "Of course, sweetheart," I whispered, stepping aside to let him in. That night, as he lay beside me, something incredible happened. For the first time in so long, Daniel truly opened up. He told me how he hadn't been able to sleep for weeks, how every time he closed his eyes, he saw his father's face or relived the awful day of the accident. He admitted he felt angry at the world, confused about why this had happened, and even guilty for moving forward with his life when his dad could not. As he spoke, tears rolled down his cheeks. I held his hand tightly, my own tears slipping down silently, though I tried to hide them so he wouldn't feel guilty for my pain. I listened, really listened, and when he paused, I told him gently that grief never looks the same for everyone. That even though years had passed, it was okay for him to still ache. Missing his father didn't mean he was weak. It meant he loved deeply. And love, I reminded him, doesn't disappear when someone is gone. It changes, it transforms, but it never leaves us. That small, simple yes I gave him that night, the yes to listening, the yes to holding space for him, became the beginning of a new chapter in our relationship. Daniel started opening up more frequently. It wasn't just about his father's loss anymore. He began to talk to me about his struggles in school, the pressures he felt among friends, and the quiet fears he had kept buried for so long. What started as one late-night conversation became a new tradition. Some nights, he would knock on my door, and other nights, I'd peek into his room just to check in. We talked for hours sometimes, laughing, crying, and slowly, together, healing. I could see the walls he had built around his pain beginning to come down, brick by brick. One memory stands out crystal clear. It was after one of his football games. Daniel had played with all his heart, and even though his team lost, he glanced up at me in the stands. For the first time in a long while, his smile wasn't forced. It was genuine. Later that night, he told me quietly, "Mom, I think Dad would have been proud of me today." My throat tightened, and tears pricked at my eyes. I looked at him firmly and said, "Daniel, your dad is proud of you, and I am too, always." He hugged me tightly, and in that embrace, I realized just how much stronger we had both become. You see, our story isn't about one big dramatic event. It's about the small intentional choices that slowly build bridges where there were once walls. Saying yes that night wasn't just about letting my son sleep in my bed. It was about choosing to be fully present for him in one of his darkest hours. It was about showing him, through actions more than words, that no matter how much we had lost, we still had each other. Family struggles don't always come in the form of loud arguments or betrayals. Sometimes they are quieter battles, the silent wars of learning how to heal together. That night, Daniel taught me something priceless. Grief doesn't always have to pull people apart. If you allow it, grief can draw you closer, binding you in ways you never thought possible. Now, as I sit here, Daniel is preparing to graduate high school. The journey hasn't been easy, but it has been ours. He still misses his dad every single day, and so do I. But we've learned an important truth. It's possible to carry both grief and joy side by side. We honor Mark's memory not just with photos and stories, but through action. Daniel has even taken on those old garage projects himself, keeping alive a tradition his father loved so dearly. But more than anything, what remains is the bond between the two of us. A bond that grew immeasurably stronger the night he knocked on my door, clutching a photo of his father, and I simply said yes. That single word, yes, changed everything. And it is a moment, a story, and a lesson I will hold close for the rest of my life.